So, if you're a short-term rental host, I bet this question has crossed your mind at least once. Should I branch out from Airbnb? Well, today, we're diving deep into one of the biggest and honestly, most controversial next steps, listing your place on Booking.com.
And it all starts with a question just like this one, from a real host, Jade Augrey. They're wondering if it's worth the leap, but they're already worried about things like calendar syncing and managing payments. And trust me, as we're about to find out, they're absolutely right to be concerned.
So here's how we're going to tackle this. We'll look at the big motivation, the why. Then we'll get into the technical nightmares, the money and paperwork, the totally different type of guest you'll get. And finally, we'll try to reach some kind of verdict.
Okay, first up, why even think about doing this? Well, it all comes down to that classic business advice, right? Don't put all your eggs in one basket. You want to diversify, and let's be honest, you want to reach a way, way bigger audience.
I mean, just look at this number, 80%. For our hosts in Puerto Rico, that's a total game changer. In their local market, Booking.com drives a whopping 80% of the business, especially from travelers coming from overseas. If you ignore that, you're not just missing an opportunity, you're basically handing over most of your potential business to your competitors.
And it's not just them. Check out what this host from New Zealand has to say. They point out how risky it is to depend on just one platform. For them, Airbnb bookings have dropped off a cliff, so diversifying isn't just a smart move, it's literally a survival strategy.
Okay, so the reward is clear. But, and this is a big but, it's not exactly a walk in the park. This brings us to the first major headache practically every host brought up, managing your calendar so you don't get that dreaded double booking.
You'd think this would be simple, wouldn't you? I mean, both platforms know you need your availability to be up to date. The idea is you just link them up and poof, they talk to each other. Easy peasy.
And yeah, this is the official process they lay out for you. It's this basic calendar import and export function. Looks simple enough, right? Copy a link here, paste it there. But this is exactly where things start to go off the rails. And you want to see how bad it can get? Just listen to this horror story. This host had dates blocked off for a kitchen remodel, but the sink failed. What happened? Booking.com went ahead and accepted a reservation for a cabin that had no plumbing. Getting it canceled was, as they put it, an absolute nightmare. So what's the takeaway from all the pros in the community? It's simple. You absolutely cannot trust the basic sink. You've got two choices, really. Either you get super disciplined and check your calendars every single day, or you have to pay for a third-party tool, a channel manager that's built to handle this stuff professionally. All right, let's say you get this syncing figured out. Now you got to deal with the money. And how you handle payments, taxes, and fees on Booking.com is a whole different ballgame, and you're not going to like it. It means a lot more admin work for you.
This table really breaks down the huge shift in who does the work. With Airbnb, you're probably used to the platform taking care of a lot of the tax collection, and they take their fee before you even see the money. Booking.com was built for hotels, so it often shoves all that responsibility right onto you.
And this host just says it perfectly. You get this big chunk of money, the gross payout, but then you have to figure out how to pay the taxes to the state and the county. Oh, and Booking.com will just send you a bill for their commission later. It forces you to think like an accountant. All right, now let's talk about what might be the single most important piece of this puzzle, the actual people who will be staying in your home. Because the type of guest and the tools you have to manage them are night and day different from Airbnb. And this is a massive difference. On Airbnb, you often get to kind of check someone out before you say yes, right? You look at their profile, their past reviews. Well, forget that on Booking.com. It's almost all instant book. If your place is free, they can book it. The end. There's no "I'm not sure about this person" decline button.
And this is why that matters so much. Think about it. Airbnb is a two-way street. A guest reviews you, you review them, and future hosts can see that history. With Booking.com, it's a one-way mirror. The guest reviews you, but you can't review them back, and you have zero information about them before they show up. And that lack of vetting leads to this pretty scary warning from another host. They claim that because there's no real screening process, Booking.com can become the go-to place for problem guests who've already been banned from other sites. And that's a huge source of stress for a lot of hosts.
So, after all that, the tech nightmares, the money headaches, the guest risks, what's the final verdict from the people who've actually done it? Is it worth the switch?
For a lot of hosts, the answer is a resounding no way. The same host who warned us about the guests, well, they say the clunky interface, the payment hassles, and what feels like a total lack of protection for the host just make it a non-starter.
But then you have the other side of the coin. For people like our host from New Zealand, it's not just a side hustle. It's the main engine of their business. They deal with all the frustrations because, in their market, Booking.com delivers a ton of guests and revenue that Airbnb just can't touch.
So it really all boils down to this, doesn't it? It's a trade-off. Are you willing to swap the safety and, let's call it, user-friendly nature of Airbnb for the raw booking power and global reach of Booking.com? You're basically taking on a lot more risk and a lot more work for the chance at a lot more business. Look, at the end of the day, nobody can give you a simple yes or no. It really comes down to you and your situation. Is your property in a market that's huge with international tourists? Are you comfortable enough with tech to handle the syncing? Or are you willing to pay for a tool to do it for you? And are you ready to become your own part-time accountant and accept the risks of guests you can't vet? That's the real question you have to answer.